Okay.
Good afternoon, sisters and women. Welcome to Off the Terrace. I'd like to continue this meeting about women's redeemed reality for women. And today we're talking about the subject of relationships, about marriage, being a wife, motherhood, children. Thank you. And yeah, when I met Chris, my husband, he had a hair salon in Oxford Street, Darlinghurst, and I had a business down the road from him, and I wanted to get my hair done and for the opening of my new business. And I saw his shop, and it had all the most beautiful murals and tropical jungle and everything. I'd just come back from South America, and it reminded me of the jungles there, and so I was attracted to that salon, walked in and got my hair cut. I actually wanted a perm because that was the rage in the late 70s. I'd come back from America and everyone had these perms and they looked fabulous, but he didn't do it, and I didn't realise he didn't even have a perm rod in the salon, so he talked me out of it, and I had a lovely cut and a colour, and on my way, and I was fascinated with this person. He even actually played me a song to go with the mood and the attitude and the situation. I thought, oh, how amazing, what a person. I didn't realise that he played every client a song, but that came later. So, yeah, I used to go and visit him and get my hair cut, and when I met him, my hair was down to here, and then eventually up. Every time I met him, it got shorter and shorter. It was up to here by the time we got to know each other better, and invite him down to my shop, and I'd call in, and he was actually into meditation then and had a guru, and I had a guru as well and wanted to make a contact with someone doing that. So we used to meditate downstairs in the basement from his salon with another group. And that was an interesting time, going through searching and trying to find the way, trying to find truth in life. And I'd been travelling overseas for 3 years and searching, came back to Australia, and in my despair, I hadn't found what I'd been looking for. And so I got together, my family got together and helped me set up a shop to sell all my South American, Central American handicrafts. That was pretty hard to settle. So, yeah, got to know Chris more and more, and then we had a visit from a young Indonesian fellow who was a born-again Christian. Came into the salon one afternoon and wanted to come back that evening to talk to us, and he came and talked to our little meditation group, and he said to us and told us about being born again and about Jesus and about accepting him and repenting and getting baptized, and you have a second chance in your life. That was, to me, after everything I'd been through, and all the travels and journeys and relationships I'd had that were pretty dreadful. I thought that would be fantastic. So I decided, yes, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to have. So we all got baptized and accepted Christianity and had this incredible experience. And I spoke on the other video that Chris took it really to heart and threw himself into the scriptures and had a most wonderful, wonderful, incredible excitement to follow and become a Christian. So this went on, and then one day we were downstairs in the salon and he walked into the room that I was in and he said, "There's something funny here. There's something really strange." He said, "I can't catch my breath. I'm feeling really strange." And then he walked out of the room and the feeling and the palpitations left and he felt better. And he said, "Look, it's not out here, it's in here." So he came back in the room and he was breathless again and looked at me and then he said, "It's you. You're making me feel like this." And I didn't know what to say. I thought, what's going on? And again he walked out and then he came back in again and he said, "There's something here." He said, "Do you love me?" And I said, "Yes." And he just was just dumbfounded and just couldn't catch his breath and was amazed that I would love him. And then he said, "We'll have to ring up my mum, Beryl." So he got on the phone. I mean, a funny reaction. Didn't talk to me. He just got on the phone to his mum and said, "Mum, I'm going to get married." And that was my proposal. How bizarre. How amazing. And I was very excited and shaking and couldn't believe, because I'd been chasing him for months and months. He always had an entourage around him and so many people around, and I didn't think he even noticed me, but I was really madly fascinated and interested and got to know him. And I was excited and I rang up my sister and said, "Oh, guess what? I'm going to marry Chris." And she was furious and she said to me, this is my eldest sister, "That's the worst news I've heard in my life and he's never welcome in my home." And I thought, oh my goodness, put the phone down, what a clanger. Oh, my heart just dropped to the floor. And then I thought, oh, this is going to be hard. But I had this incredible feeling and love and anointing, and the love just was covering both of us. And it was amazing because everyone was against this marriage. People said, "Don't marry him, he's a dreadful person. You can't marry him, it won't work, nothing's going to happen." And people were coming into the salon, even persuading me not to. And everywhere I went, and I get bombarded with these thoughts. And that point, I heard a voice say, "Anything that comes against your marriage, that's the devil." And I had this strength in me to actually fight off, at that point, to fight off those thoughts and to stay tuned with the decision that we'd come to. And if I hadn't have done that, we wouldn't have got together. We wouldn't have stayed. We wouldn't have got to get married. And my whole family was against the marriage. They actually came with all sorts of accusations and tried to get me to change my mind. And I mean, I was 28. I wasn't a child, and I'd traveled the world, and I had a career. I wasn't stupid. but they were treating me like just a child, a baby that had lost its mind. So a couple of months later we got married. None of my immediate family came. Some of my aunts and uncles and cousins came, but none of my family. And I grew up with a really big, loving country Catholic family, and we all used to get on and have wonderful times and get-togethers with all the rellos, and I just felt broken-hearted. But I had this strength. Somehow I got through, and I was so happy to be married to Chris, and I just loved him so much. I didn't know what was in store for me. I didn't know what was going to happen. And I told you before that he'd been previously gay, and he had never been with a woman before, and I didn't know what was going to go down and how it was going to be. And we started our married life with nothing. We had no money, and we lived underneath the salon in a basement where the dust used to trickle down from the front door through the stairs onto our mattress on the floor, and that's where we started our life, with nothing. And I'm just amazed because Yahusha came into our life later on, way down the track, but I believe and know that he was there. He was there, even though we didn't have his name, and that was 1978 when we got married. And we didn't have the revelation of his name back then, but we had this belief. We had meetings in our hair salon where we invite Pentecostal pastors and preachers to come and teach, and we had gatherings. We built up and had churches and were pastors, and we went through this for 20 odd years, and it was just overwhelming going through it until we found Yahusha, and we found the way, and we got immersed in Yahusha's name, and that's what brought us into an incredible understanding of how to be with each other. Our marriage was very rocky and hard because I was just very strong and wanted my way and was very angry, and I turned and tried to mould Chris to be how I thought he should be because of his background. I didn't think he knew how to behave himself, and in the meantime he had his head in the scriptures, and Yahusha was changing him and showing him and moulding him, and yet I wanted to mould him how I wanted to mould him, but Yahusha was moulding him. And Yahusha had more power and strength than I had, and I was furious because I didn't have any control over what was going on. That was really a hard situation. I had no control over my husband. Like most women have a manipulative type of control where they can maneuver and manipulate things around to suit themselves and get their way. And in this relationship, as a wife, I had problems. I couldn't fall pregnant. And for 9 years, the first 9 years of our marriage, I was just so upset and miserable because I couldn't have a child. I was very upset and miserable because my family wouldn't accept my marriage. And I tried and used to go and visit them and by myself, and I'd take Chris, and then we'd go up to the country and we'd have weekends there and visit them, and no one would give in and be real and be nice and accept our marriage. And that just broke my heart. And I couldn't see that Yahusha was trying to separate me to him. And I was hanging on and hanging on. And for years, 40 odd years, it was just horrendous. And I put Chris through total misery. He had to put up with my misery, and he realised way back, early on in the piece, that it was demons. He could see the demonic effect and the negative effect and the lies and the hatred and the abuse that was coming at our life, at our marriage, at our relationship, in everything we did. In the meantime, we had businesses. We had 4 salons going in Sydney all at once, and we had 23 staff, and we were active in doing all that. And then, you know, for a long time, I had my own salon, and we didn't see each other very much, and that was crazy. And then there was an incredible hatred and anger and bitterness, and I was blaming Chris so much for how people felt about us and why they wouldn't accept us and all that. And it wasn't him, it was Yahusha. It was Yahusha separating us, separating him and me unto him. And I didn't understand it, and I was fighting back all the time, furious and angry. I mean, we used to do Christmases, birthdays, when we didn't know about how wrong they were. And every time we had Christmas, it'd be all my family used to get together in the country and have this wonderful soiree and everything, and I was never invited. And so we used to call it the Christmas blues that I'd get into. And poor Chris, he had to handle this, and he's the happiest fellow. He just wanted to enjoy life and be happy and share and give and encourage people. And there's got this wife, this morbid wife, that just wouldn't break free. And this was so hard, what I did to him, and yet he's still with me. I can't believe that he suffered all that and still loves me, but he does. So it must be Yahusha, because most people going through what I put Chris through would not stay, you know. And we even got to the point where so many arguments, so many slam doors, so many dreadful situations where we got to the point where we said, look, every argument ends in divorce. So what are we going to do? Don't go through the argument, you want divorce. So that used to crack me up, and then I'd just think, oh, what am I doing? And it would change the whole thing. Whenever I'd cry, he'd cry with me and turn it into a laughing cry, and then I'd crack up. So he's just the most amazing person. And I'm so grateful that Yahusha's given me this guy. And I hadn't appreciated him for so long. And it was sad. That's very sad and wicked and creepy and evil, you know, to treat someone so special and so gentle like him. And yet it's only Yahusha that put love in his heart to put up with me and forgive me and be patient and loving and long-suffering, that's for sure. So in a marriage, it's not smooth sailing. We have to go through all these things and have to come out the other end in love. And if you follow Yahusha, you will. So that's my life as a wife. I eventually had a child on IVF, and like I said before, I blamed Chris for having a problem, but it was my problem. And I had the most beautiful child called Matthew, and he was the most stunning little fella who gave us so much joy and happiness, with the best personality and fun, and grew him up, and I couldn't have any more children. Didn't work again. So yeah, and children, you bring them up. Well, we brought him up in a Christian belief, and then when we found Yahusha, we told him about Yahusha, and he got immersed with his first wife about 10 years ago, longer than that, about 13 years ago. He got immersed up in the river, the Walsh River. He repented and got immersed, and then his wife was full on, very excited, telling all his friends, and he got embarrassed. He got embarrassed that she was telling his friends about Yahusha and how wonderful and how you can get free. And he squashed her and put her down and shut her up and shut her down. Now, the consequences of his behaviour, he ended up being a drug addict and he is now in jail. So that's my one and only son, and that was just horrendous. But look, demons are real, and he's a grown man. He's in his 30s and he went that way and chose that way, and we constantly tried to show him and help him, but you know, you can't do any more. So that's very sad. He had got 10 years in jail. He has to serve 8, and he's done half, and that's a long time in a jail. Don't know what's going to happen with him, but we still pray and hope and ask Yahusha to help him and deliver him, and that would be a miracle, I believe. So that's motherhood and children. Many children today, they have a whole different, this is, you know, today is very different to how my child grew up, because he didn't have devices, he didn't have all the phones and electronics that they have now. But Yahusha came into his life, he comes into young people's lives, and they can understand at an early age about his truth. They can see the truth, so you don't have to pull the wool over their eyes. They know, they feel. Kids are very perceptive and they know much more than what you give them. And I can see all my family and their husbands and wives and children and their grandchildren, the consequences and things that have gone on in their lives. They're not happy. They are living in society, having their life here. And what I used to be so jealous of, I can see Yahusha's taken me out of that and separated me and given me something special, because I have a husband who loves me and I have an incredible love. And through the forgiveness of what he's done for me, through his forgiveness, I've been set free, and I just know that Yahusha's just going to use mightily all the things that we've been through, and to follow him and go all the way, and to know that when you're called by Yahusha and follow him and give over to him, he will do the work if you allow him. And to follow his way, to die to ourselves, to give up all the past, all the things and the bitterness and the holding people's past and their background. I did that for so long. That is not the way. We need to be free and clean out all that garbage and move on. Don't look back. Don't look back like Lot's wife did. Don't look back, look forward and enter into this amazing feast that Yahusha has prepared for us, where he wants his bride to be clean and to follow him and be changed. We need to change and to be made new. Thanks for listening, sisters. I hope this is a help to any of you, and the next video we do, I'd like to do another one, and the next one on belief, and we'll see you later. Bye for now.